tried to ban. They tried to stop us at the last minute. Can you believe this?
It's crazy.
We were all set up with our technology to go at 6, and
We
wham! This ain't happening.
Nah.
New World Order.
Yeah, YouTube said no. YouTube said no. No, not happening. So that's where we're at.
The enemies are conspiring against us, people, to try and prevent this information from getting out. But we have just, for the past 30 minutes, resolved this. It's now on Ron's channel. Huge thank you to Ron. Absolute fan favorite. If you're not aware of what's happening tonight, you may have missed the podcast that went up just a week or so ago. It's doing really well. So Ron's channel, a lot of it is about exploring the most hideous, depraved behavior online by predators. And he specializes in going into these rooms. He has software that blocks out the images and videos, and none of that will be shown on either of our channels. But he's going to show you how he goes into these rooms and get to watch the conversations between the predators. And Ron is also responsible for outing some predators and having them face the consequences, and we're going to get to that. So it's not just about the dark web and red rooms. This is going to be a series. We're hoping to do at least 4 episodes, and we're going to trying to go in a bit lightly because the structure Ron gave us, he's so desensitized by all of his research into this stuff. He just wanted to go full on from the get-go. And Ron going full on, if you didn't hear me say previously, when I interviewed him in my podcast, he was the first guest ever that made me throw up in my own mouth. And because we were on camera, I had to casually swallow it down. So the content is going to be really disturbing and hard-hitting. Why are we doing this? Are we basking in heinous things? No. What we're doing is part of our mantra: end the war on drugs, begin the war on pedophiles, exposing these bastards in these dark hideouts that they congregate and share tips on best way to grab a kid, best way to get a kid, best way to do all this and that. Ron's going to take us on this exploration. So part 1 today, he's going to take us in gently, and we're going to build up to the more hardcore stuff. But Ron's gentle, I imagine, is still going to have a vomit bag on hand. It's because anything could be said at any moment.
It's been dialed back a lot, and I think it's good for me to be able to present the information to a wider audience in a way that isn't, like you say, so horrific. And that's how I've always edited the documentaries. For me, I want there to be an emotional reaction in people, because these kids, these trafficked adults, what they go through, I don't feel like anyone has the right to look away, right? Because they are too upset about the reality. I'm just presenting reality. There's no hamming up or anything. Nothing has been glorified or made up. You're just seeing the facts, and the facts are often too much for people. And there was one thing when I was in this introductory episode, we're going to sort of cover the child lover pedophile. We're going to look at a couple of actual cases. We're going to dip into the deep web live. We're going to have a look at 2 sites that supposedly sell this content, and we're going to deep dive into a massive pedophile community and have a little read of their conversations. And one thing that was quite bizarre was, after I'd done the podcast on your show, I actually got an email from a convicted pedophile who sent me a very long email about his crimes and all the rest of it. And he was one of your viewers who's seen me on the podcast, went and watched my documentary. And in the documentary, I said I tried to contact convicted pedophiles for the documentary, and no one responded. So we're going to have a little look over the next few weeks at his letter. I may also take some questions from your fans and relay them to some predators. We've got a deep web random talk to pedophile chat room that at one point we're going to sort of delve into and put some questions to some willing monsters. But before we do that, what I would like to do is just very quickly just showcase something that is called the Pedomap Live. Now, the Pedomap Live is a group of programmers who've set up this... One second. This one. All right. They have set up this site, and basically what this does is every time somebody on an unsecured network, okay, which means somebody with a visible IP on the deep web, anytime that they try and access child porn, they get a hit. Okay, and what you'll see is in the gray box down the bottom here is the partial IPs, the browser being used, the operating system, the device, the location, their pedo score, and if they're watching or downloading. And what I'm going to do is just let this run for the duration of the stream, and we'll see how many...
Could you clarify what pedo score means, please?
I don't actually know. I think it's the severity of the content that they're viewing, if that makes sense. I don't know if some sites they're on get a higher score because of the horrificness of the content. There isn't anything much about the pedo score on here. But we can have a little deep dive into this at the end and have a look at the statistics. But we can zoom into the map, and if each one of these is somebody that's basically, you know, looking at this shit right now. So this will give us a sort of look at the problem as we progress through this, so that we can see the realities of the situation over time, which I think is going to be interesting for some people. It's hard for some people to take, but when it's presented in data form like that, it can be a little bit more palatable, because data is not as hard to look at as the conversations between some of the most horrific individuals on the planet. And throughout this series, we're going to talk about some of those communities. There's a community that comes and goes, very high level in the hardcore realm. And that's where we're going to end up. We're going to get to the point of the red rooms and the torture and all the rest. But I think for Atwood's audience, I'd like to start on a history lesson, if you will. A little history lesson into the deep web, where I began and why I started, and really some of what can only be referred to as the thing of legends, but they are reality. And we start off with Pink Meth, which was a community years ago that it was gathering up information on young women, their Facebooks, their social information, their contact information, if they've been hacked, if they've got rats on their system and things like this. And it was for the sole purpose of blackmailing people. That was the only reason. And you had people there that were there to blackmail for money. You were there for people there who were there to blackmail for horrific content to be made. But there was also those who wanted to push for those people to commit suicide. And this was a common thing. Now, to put sextortion into reality for you, I'm going to play you the intro to a documentary that I made at the start of 2019 all about this. This was really my road into making documentaries at a starting point that got me onto the deep web. Pink Meth was the reason I went on the deep web. I couldn't believe that people were getting their webcams hacked, and then, you know, a 15 or 14-year-old girl's getting changed for school in the morning. They take some pictures of her while she's getting changed, and they say, if you don't, you know, okay, let's calm this down a second. If you don't do what we say, then we're going to release these images. And of course, the things that they say to do are progressively more horrific. And, you know, for once, I'm not going to name what those things are, because we're trying to not horrify people straight away. But I'd like to just give you the intro to this documentary. It will really give you an idea of sextortion and just how dangerous an enterprise it currently is and was on the deep web. And these cases still go on to this day. So I'm just going to set that up right now.
Okay.
I mean, do you know about the high levels of sort of sextortion that went on the deep web?
No.
Yeah, it's it's something that is really, really shocking. Right, give me 1 second. Pause this. All right, everyone, you just
So
need to
people
bear.
watching this who's clicked over from my socials, I urge you to please support Ron and subscribe to his channel. He's doing great work. He's like on the front line, war against pedophiles. So what are we seeing here then?
Hey,
Okay, so this is an
How you
advert
doing?
that was put out to scare people,
I'm Jess.
basically.
I noticed that you're kind of cute. I hope this doesn't sound lame, but sometimes you just want to have some fun. Do you know what I mean? And I'd really like to have some fun with you.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, mate.
I could take my top off.
And these are real cases.
Oh, this is a real case.
This is an advert
like that,
that was
don't
put
you?
out by the police to scare people to keep their clothes on in
You
front of
could take your
webcams.
top off.
Don't worry. This is all approved by the.
Maybe your jeans too. I'd like to watch you doing stuff while I do stuff.
It's designed to make you feel as
Except
uncomfortable as you're feeling right
Maybe
now.
you shouldn't,
Hmm.
because you know what?
But this is a reality.
You're being recorded. Understand?
Gorgeous, isn't she? Yeah, she works for me. You're
being blackmailed.
Your contacts have been downloaded. The film will be shared with your friends, your family, your workmates,
Everyone you know.
unless you pay. And if you think you can talk me out of it, think again. Because for those of us pressing the buttons behind the scenes, it's just business.
Okay, so this entire series that, like I say, I put this out last year. It's in 2 parts, and the first part really focuses on the history, like where we're going into now, and looking at the business side of this. There is literally call center like businesses in the Philippines. Like, you're talking, if you hit your target, you get a bonus in the sextortion world. We're talking rows of chairs with computers, with people sat at them like employees, sextorting people all around the world. Like, that is the criminal enterprise level of it all. And it's important that you understand that is the capabilities of these people. And when it comes to just the porn that you want the people to make, that's one thing. But when it comes to animals, when it comes to self-harm, when it comes to doing really horrific things to yourself because of the fear that you have of what these individuals are going to do and the control, it is unbelievable. There has been massive pedophile cases where sextortion has been at the heart of their operational motive, if that makes sense. So all ties into blackmail, and you know yourself, the criminal world and blackmail, it's not an uncommon thing.
Let's slow down. Let me just go over this a minute.
Sure.
So you're saying that was a video the police put out to warn people about sextortion?
Yes. The one with the girl, yeah. Yeah.
What my brain is saying, okay, so the people who would succumb to sextortion would be pedophiles.
Well, the people that would succumb to sextortion are anyone. Like, for example, if I hacked your mobile phone, right, and then you were in the bath watching something on Netflix, and when you stood up in the bath, I took a picture of your private parts and then emailed it to you and said, mate, I've got hours of this, okay? Like, go and get the peanut butter and a Labrador, or I'm going to email this to everyone. That is how people end up sextorted. People.
So there's a spectrum. That's what I wanted to know. There's a spectrum of sextortion, ranging from sextorting pedophiles to sextorting normal people.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you could see...
Because that video, what I was thinking, that video made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking was, okay, if that pops up on your computer and you continue watching that, then you're a paedophile, and perhaps you deserve to be sextorted.
Well, the point you're missing is the people who are mostly
people to commit crimes here, but I've got
you're missing the point.
Wouldn't they deserve?
We're talking about 15-year-olds. Let's say a 14-year-old girl meets what she thinks is a 14-year-old boy, and that guy catfishes her into taking her top off on Skype. That is what that girl represented. It's teenagers who are mostly fall victim to this. When it comes to maybe you misinterpreted that. So that was imagine a teenager being told to do all this. Those are the vulnerable ones when it comes to it. And those are the ones. Right. Those are the major cases where people have killed themselves and all the rest of it. Now we're going to take a look at an actual case in a minute of a massive British paedophile who used sextortion as his tactics, and it's a grim tale because of the age of his victims, and we'll get to that. But sextortion happens to anyone. It could happen. Hey, listen, it happens to pedophiles as well. They get baited out and people will wreck their lives. And, I'm not saying that I support crimes either, but, if you're compelled to do a crime, I'm just saying. And it's difficult when it's teenagers and your kids. Now, parents, if you're watching, the one thing you need to drill into your kids is that there's never anything that they can do on the internet or that can happen to them on the internet that they can't tell you about. No matter how embarrassing it is, there's been cases where 15-year-old boys have, thought they were talking to a girl, and they decide to sit and, play with each other on webcams, and then, a week later that boy's hung himself. These are real cases, and I go into all in the sextortion documentary series, and I just wanted to touch on the blackmail because it's important you understand how many levels of darkness and criminality there is to these organized groups on the deep web. So, carry on, bro.
Yeah, that's good to know. I had no idea that.
It's massive.
It was going on this scale and the range of the victims of sextortion. Yeah, this is all new to me. That's why you're on. You're educating us about this stuff. It's great.
Even in the new documentary trailer, one of the police that's in the bit of footage talks about how he's seen everything when it comes to child abuse, from babies being abused right the way up to teenagers crying because they're being sextorted. You know what I mean? It is so common. It's so common you would be terrified. It's crazy. And it can happen to anyone. And just quickly, so when
Black Mirror. They say in the comments, it did bring to mind Black Mirror. I did see that episode. It was compelling viewing.
Yes. But you understand that the little boy at the end was a paedophile, right? The little boy at the end was a paedophile. So just to clear that up, all right? Just in case you're all like, he was a paedophile, all right? So just clearing that up. That's why he got busted. You know what I'm saying? At the end. So I'd like to show you what I'd like to do for your audience is whenever I talk about something like this, I'd like to show you a real world case, because I think it's important that I'm not just talking a lot of nonsense. And there is a horrible man that we're going to now be introduced to. And just give me 1 minute to swap this over. Okay, so sit back. And we're going to meet our first real-world predator of the series.
So for us, this has been a relentless pursuit to catch Dr. Matthew Folder. But what saddened me is his relentless pursuit of the victims. And he would stop at nothing to exploit them, to make them feel sad, humiliated or unhappy. And he didn't really care in any way, shape or form how that manifested.
When the sole motivation of an individual is purely to cause pain to another, that's quite hard to grasp.
The offences that I've arrested you on suspicion of being involved in were blackmail, causing or inciting a child to engage in sexual activity, possessing indecent images of children.
Sounds like the rap sheet from hell.
Distributing indecent images of children, and causing GBH injuries to a person.
And this individual, the sole motivation was to inflict pain on another and the journey to that. It was all about the complete and total power and control over another person.
Have you done that?
No comment.
Have you sent pictures of your blackmail victims to the parents?
No comment.
Listen to this.
He emailed one teenage victim, "I wanted to offer you two choices. A, you take some more photos for me, slightly different from before. B, I get upset, and instead of sending money, I send printouts of all the pictures you have done to your address at many points in the future, in envelopes that your mother is likely to open."
Could you imagine
The
that?
girl was 15 at the time.
Matthew Folder was jailed for more than 30 years for blackmailing vulnerable young people into carrying out depraved sexual acts. The judge in that case called him warped and sadistic. A university lecturer, described as one of Britain's most prolific paedophiles, has been jailed for 32 years. 29-year-old Matthew Folder, a Cambridge graduate, admitted 137 offences, including encouraging the rape of a child. He approached his victims online and then blackmailed them into sending him increasingly depraved images. At least 4 of his victims tried to take their own lives. Folder was finally caught after an operation involving agencies around the world.
I mean, how crazy when you see a face to the monster, to the myth. Like, that is the thing of dark web legend. The horrible doctor creeping around, blackmailing women and kids and encouraging people to do depraved acts. But that's real.
Oh, that's mind-blowing. Cambridge graduate. He's got all the world opened up to him in the future. Obviously got a good education, good background. Has to do sick shit like that. I hope he ends up in the shower, in the prison, and the gang members take care of it.
Yeah. Listen, ironically, the next Predator, as we move through this, that's exactly how he ended up. So there's a couple of photographs I'd like to show you guys, just as a little part of history here. The first one is actual shots from the pink meth communities, so you can see. And also, none of this exists on the deep web anymore. There is archive sites, but these specific ones that I'm showing you do not exist. So you can see girls' names and their photographs and all their personal information would be listed with this. This is a dead site as well. None of this is still online. And this was a huge blackmail community. It was unbelievable. It was called Dark Scandals. It ran for years. And it's had multiple URLs. Sort of ex-revenge porn site on the deep web known as Pink Meth, where guys paid to post explicit photos of and videos of their former partners, ages ranging between preteen to adulthood. The site took it a bit further by inputting full names, links, social websites, and addresses. You can imagine some of these girls got in a lot of harassment and also put their lives in danger. So it's real. These aren't myths that we're talking about. I'm never ever going to present to you unless I say, it's deep web myth and legend story time. We're always going to be talking about the facts. So our introduction to the history of the deep web and where I started was Pink Meth and the sextortion scandals. And from there, sadly, it led to me not witnessing, but knowing that it was there in such prevalence and such a prolific manner, is the child abuse, the pedophilia, is unbelievable. And there's things that we're just going to skim over, that I deep dived into on my channel, that are just they're not able to be put into this series as fully, because it's just, we're trying to break you in easily. So the next thing I'd like to sort of, well, unless you've got anything you want to touch on that, Sean, is there anything that, as far as that side of the dark web goes, have you ever heard of anything like that, or is that all new to you?
This is all new to me. My mind is just being blown right now, and I imagine the people watching this, and just to hear you tell me on the podcast is one thing, but then for you to actually post images and videos of the perpetrators and show exactly what they're doing and demonstrate it in that way, it just makes it even more powerful. The message you're trying to get out. And looking at the chat, I can see that the same reaction they're having the same reaction, saying it's all new to them as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
This is your specialty.
You see,
this is your specialty. This is where you go, and you're taking us right there, and I appreciate that.
See, this is a lot of the people that are here from my community. This is where we were over a year and a half ago, is right here. So taking you guys through it all, it's good to know that it's worth repeating myself, if that makes sense, because it's a new audience and I really want you guys to come on this journey. So we're now going to have a little look at the reality of what I do here, just for a minute. So in 2009, me and the channel, the team, we looked into a company called Brima Models. And they were a prolific Ukrainian child modeling agency that had a YouTube channel that was just unacceptable. And at that point, we'd already assisted in taking down a company called Belen Khazar out in Venezuela. They got raided, their CEOs were arrested, they were released without charge, but all of their social medias were completely destroyed and had to be rebuilt. And all of their website had to be changed. There's a lot. And there might be a follow-up on that to come. That was the first time that anyone had ever sent me a cease and assist order. And I'm pretty sure I printed it out and sent him a video of me wiping my ass with it and told him that he better come to Scotland if he ever wants to fucking ask me anything ever again. So Brima Models, we covered it in 2019. I did a follow-up in June of 2020. And that was working in conjunction with an anonymous team of researchers. Massive shout out to them. I strongly believe that their research was the reason that I can now tell you that Brima Models was raided by the Ukrainian Special Police. The owners were arrested and they were done for distributing and creating child pornography. Now, to understand how this exists on the surface web, okay, and what exploitation is, what child pornography is, and what the legal side of what you can show as a photographer, as a fan club, whatever, is very important, okay? So what I'd like to show you, first of all, is where Brima Models and why Brima Models had to be taken down. You need to, these are all censored images. This is a video that's on YouTube, and it is a trigger warning, but there's no abuse going on. It is what you would consider skirting the edge, okay? And it's important that you understand the levels that these individuals went to, because this website goes right into the deep web. And we're going to have a look at right now Brima Models' private deep web community within another pedophile community with 1.6 million registered members. 1.6 million registered pedophiles, content creators. We're talking lists of photography studios that do this kind of thing. Bonkers. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little dive into that just now. And there's a little bit of reading here for you. I do apologize. It is screenshots. But I think it's important that you see the conversations that go on, not on the surface web communities, but the deep web communities that are actually facilitating the trafficking and content creation of these children. You're going to have a look at the deep web messages first, and then we're going to have a look at the content that this company was trying to distribute and why it was taken down. So first of all, we're going to have a quick look at those deep web posts.
Of young girls being exploited, trafficked around agencies and exploited for profit through a network of individuals in the Ukraine. What we're going to look at now are some screenshots from the deep website Rindex, where the communities discuss these custom sets, discuss treating them, and we'll also look into the tactics in which Brima Models are using to hide on the dark web in order to distribute and profit from these highly inappropriate child custom sets.
nightmare started to unfold. Nightmare begins. Now, it was interesting because the way that Brimmer Models would operate their membership was you would have to give over like photographical ID before they would sell any of these to you. Which is interesting because that was for the purpose that if you ever, shop them out to the cops, they could take you down with them. So it'd be very interesting to see any follow-ups after this case because, like I say, this company has been shut down. I'm doing a part 3 because somebody has taken their place. But this was unacceptable and is now not in existence anymore. And the team that gathered up all of these screenshots and done the research into this community 100% cannot say
one thing that comes across clear from those screenshots is the absolute terror
I genuinely believe that
the customers of Brimmer Models have when it comes to being exposed. And the reason for this is upon purchasing and signing up for these custom sets, the way that these customers are controlled is by giving over their identification, IDs, so that if they were to ever share, leak, or sell the images, that she could basically release their information. This is, again, a tactic that is used to control the information flow. The community on the deep web is massive, and you can see that there is a large want for non-nude underage material. And the next thing we're going to look at is some posts that will just back up this with the fear and exactly how she goes around controlling these customers.
I can still see.
Yeah.
You want me to put the camera on and off?
Video audio.
I can still see that everything's working fine through my camera.
Okay, yeah, but you're not showing the camera on the screen. That's what I'm saying. Fix your audio.
Yeah, you've just got you on the screen right now. So how do I get...
Sorry about that. I'm sorry.
I think you've bumped me.
No, we're good. I've got you back. Sorry about that. Sorry, yes, the video was playing in the background. I beg your pardon. Is that okay now? Are we okay?
Yeah.
Turn it off. Yeah, there you go. Okay, sorry, I beg your pardon. This is the first, you gotta understand, this is the first night of this new setup, okay? I've got 2 PCs running, a mixer board, everything's set up. There should literally be 2 other people here doing this job, okay? All right, so I'm doing my best. All right, we're doing our best. But yeah, I do apologize.
You're doing a great job considering these Illuminati bastards tried to prevent this from happening.
I'm telling you, it's
and
madness.
I can't live stream, so don't sweat it. You're doing great, man.
It's all good. So... what the hell did we just watch? Oh yeah, okay, so the conversations are there, and that's important. That's important that you understand that was a surface web child modeling agency. That was their deep web child porn production community that you were witnessing the discussions of there. Now, they're in jail. They are literally in jail. So the researchers that helped me out with this, I'm telling you, thank you so much if you're watching this, because I'm telling you, you're the reason that these guys are in jail. I just made a video on it. You guys did the work. Unreal. But that was a mega win. A mega win. So exciting stuff, man, when things like that happen.
Congratulations on taking these bastards down.
Well, it's a slow, arduous process. So when we talk about taking the bastards down as well, there's a reason I focus on reporting communities on the deep web, because in my opinion, you're never really going to stop the distribution of anything digital, whether it's a stolen recipe book or child abuse content. If it's digital, it's never going to go anywhere. And when you try and learn and investigate, you're not going to, oh shit. What was that, mate? Oh, that was that just going off. So I'm just going to give you a quick look at the deep web, okay? And how I don't have images on. So let me just, just grab something here. Okay, there's nothing showing. Okay, so if we just cut to here. Okay, you can see on this site, this is, we don't do hardcore death or abominations. We just have a collection of animals and children. Lovely. And you can see how these images are missing, right? So when it comes to sites like this that are just distributing content, there's nothing to really report on apart from just to report the site. You know, you don't learn anything from this other than that's horrific. You know what I mean? Whereas when you look at the communities and you report and take them down, if they've got 40,000 members, that disrupts their flow. It's like taking away their HQ for a couple of weeks, you know? And they never come back as strong. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I focus on that side of it all. And that was a little peek into the deep web live there. We will get to that. Don't you worry. So, Brimmer Models gone, arrested, and it's a horrific thing to think about how prevalent a business people trafficking is, and how profitable, and how it's become the #1 criminal enterprise in the world now, because it's a lot easier to get into that business than it is to start up a freaking cocaine empire or something like that. It's insane. And we're in, I think it's 36 billion a year. The enterprise is now, Sean.
So you're saying that's bigger than the drug market then?
It's much, yeah, it's the #1 profit in criminal enterprise. And I think North America, just North America is over 1/3 of the business. So if you try and imagine that North America's spending over 12 billion in the people trafficking enterprise realm each year, is wild.
And how much of that is Hillary Clinton responsible for?
Jesus Christ. Most of it, I think. I think she's got a loyalty card to the whole fucking enterprise, if I'm being honest. I don't know if the CEO's, I'm pretty sure that's like the CEO at Starbucks having to pay for a coffee. You know, I think at this point she's at the top of the pile. Do you know what? Every time I hear somebody, and we're not about to delve into politics, but every time someone talks about how bad Trump is, I'm like, listen, we understand that you were dealt the shit sandwich situation. Would you rather eat a shit sandwich with 1 shit in it or 2 shits in it? Because Hillary was the shit sandwich with 2 in it, and you know. That's all I'm saying. Just remember, your other option was Hillary Clinton. Do you know what I'm saying? And Jesus, you could have had a dead ferret. That would have been better than Hillary Clinton. That's all I'm saying. And interesting, there's somebody who is coming on my show, and I'm sure you would have them on your show, that is currently going to Haiti to sting child traffickers. She is an individual who's part of something going on where once the sale is made, the SWAT team, effectively, open inverted commas, come in. And once she's done, she's going to come back and talk about it. Because that is something that I don't know if I could ever do and hold my nerve. I really don't. I really don't think I could do the face-to-face stuff.
Well, I've had information come in from people who live out by the pedo island of Epstein saying that kids were getting trafficked from Haiti and other countries, and these are the victims that we'll never hear about.
Haiti.
Maybe some was snuffed out.
Dude, I'm pretty sure the Clintons allegedly stole thousands of kids from Haiti. Like on a list of where are the kids, it's thousands of kids. It's not. It's mind-blowing. And there's actually a documentary all about Clinton's money when the Clinton Foundation was set up and they were doing the support for Haiti after the earthquake, where the money went, how it was spent, and where did the fucking kids go, Hillary? Where are the kids, Hillary? Like, literally, where are the kids, Hillary? It's mind-blowing, because it would be like if you dropped your kids off at kindergarten or nursery, right? And then you came back to collect them and half the kids were missing. And the person in charge just went, "What? That's it. There's been no explanation of where these kids went." It's insane how it varies between situations, because we're talking about people's kids. It's bonkers. Sorry, I triggered myself.
Well, the Clintons' procurer was apprehended, wasn't she, taking kids? And she said that, you know, she was taking them to safety. They had no parents. And then the parents showed up and were like, why are you taking our kids? Where are they going?
It's
and then
wild.
And she's on the child hotline now. The missing children's Amber Alert hotline in America?
No. Yeah. That's the universe.
Snatch kids for the Clintons and you get rewarded.
Oh man. I'm telling you, we should have, you know what we should do? We need to have a podcast called the Tinfoil Hat Podcast where we only discuss the maddest of mad ideas, because sometimes when you're having a bit of a laugh, right, about, like, you know, the dragon people at the center of the earth and all this kind of stuff, other stuff happens in your brain, then you start solving things that you wouldn't normally solve because your brain's in a place that it isn't. But you know, you've got to enjoy some of the more far-fetched realities out there too, because, hey, listen, how are we to know none of this is all? How do we know this isn't a simulation? You know, I'm just saying, we don't.
They awarded her with a job at the Amber Alert.
That's madness. Like that.
Just like we saw Maxwell at the anti-sex trafficking charity event the other day. That news came out.
Jesus Christ. It's crazy. Okay, so you've heard me talk about types of pedophiles, right? And a lot of the time people are like, well, what? Because you think that surely there's just one type of pedophile. And sadly, there's not. And the traditional pedophile, right, the one that we kind of hear about the most, is the child lover pedophile. This individual who thinks a child is capable of consenting for adult activities, shall we call them, from, say, 5 or 6. Okay? And that, to me, see, when you see them talking and chatting amongst each other, they don't see anything wrong with it. Like, they criticize other forms of pedophiles. They're so self-righteous in the pedophile world that they're the ones that should be politically heard. Do you know what I mean? Like, just try and get your head around the fucking madness of a group of people who think 5-year-olds can consent, having a discussion about how they feel they're the ones that should be heard because they're the ones that have the best point. Like...
And then these fuckers try and form the paedophile information exchange and...
Oh, man.
Come out with all that shit and legitimize it in law.
It's so insane how, without even really knowing it, we're all subjected to passive normalization of pedophilia. You've seen what's happened with these LOL dolls. We covered it, where these dolls are getting put in hot water and the outfit that they're wearing changes to like a suspender belt and stockings and leather bras and all this kind of stuff. They're now being found with cheese pizza slice tattoos on their back and all this kind of thing. You've seen what happened with the cuties and Netflix situation. Normalization has been in front of us for a long time. And I think that's where the believability of the Illuminati and the elites come screaming into play, when you almost feel like the biggest companies in the world are being puppeteered into passive normalization. Now, again, this was last year, okay, that we covered this, and this was Snapchat. Snapchat released a filter last year that would turn you into a baby or a toddler of yourself. Okay, now, you hear Snapchat filter, I hear deep fake child porn production app. Okay, now we covered this, all right, and I'm going to show you a clip from this as to why it's important that you understand that this is being put in front of your faces, all right, and nobody seems to see answer why anyone would need to be turned into a toddler, okay, and have it slip under the radar. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, Ron, maybe this is maybe a bit far-fetched for me and all the rest of it. Well, this video was picked up by the national news in Australia, It was picked up by National News in the USA. It was on a couple of massive vlogs, and this video forced Snapchat to add a baby filter, like a baby rattle, to their filter. So now that filter has a little rattle so that you know if you're watching deep fake, child porn, that it was made on Snapchat apparently. But I'm going to show you why it's dangerous for individuals to be able to turn themselves into children. And you'll see. This isn't from a being used to bait out pedophiles point of view. Sadly, everything has a good side and a bad side. So have a look at this.
Okay, I think it's fairly...
You might ask me, what could this be used for? And this is, again, it's normalization, and it's facilitating the creation of content for these individuals, okay? Now, if you imagine you've got predators out there who are buying content and they don't know if it's kids and all the rest of it, there's people out there that are going to profit from this, and it's really something that cannot exist when we've got an epidemic around the world of people who are trying to groom and abuse kids. So have a watch of this. Just take a look.
Obvious that your customers are disgusted. I'm disgusted.
Ron's broken the sound. There we go.
Everyone's reaction to this in my community is disgusted, and I'm sorry, there's no excuse, and retracting the filter is not enough. I'm really sorry. I'm about to sear into everyone's brain why this needs to be stopped. Take a look at what would happen if somebody was to abuse your filter.
Hi, I'm 41 years old.
Before I play this, right?
That's so weird.
Before I play this, I need you to understand that everyone's over 18, and this bit of footage was what made this video get picked up by Australia's national press. Also, the press in the UK, the Metro, covered it as well. This is the problem with deep fake child porn technology.
Hi, Daddy. You want to have fun with me tonight? Well, you can swipe up and join my premium Snapchat and see all the stuff that I do by myself. Hi, Dad. Do you want to have fun with me tonight? Well, you can swipe up and join my premium Snapchat and see all of my content. Hi, Daddy. Do you want to have fun with me tonight? Well, you can swipe up and join my premium Snapchat to see all the content that I do by myself.
Hey Daddy, you want to have fun with me tonight? Well, you can swipe up and sign up for my premium Snapchat. This is proof that I'm an adult. Please don't kill Ron. I'm 21 years old.
Okay, so
oh my God,
from a normal,
that's crazy.
From normalizing, right, that kind of content, right, you have a lot of people who sit with their partners, who sit in long distance relationships, who do and fool around a lot on Snapchat. And introducing the ability for adults to turn into toddlers is normalizing in its most passive form. You know, we joke about it. We put images of ourselves as toddlers on Facebook and we're like, lol, it's all the rest of it. I get that there's a very innocent side to this. But trust me, if when I seen it, that's what I thought people were going to do with it. There's a lot of people out there that would have been using that to profit, and it's scary. Whether it's real, whether it's fake, it doesn't matter. Profiting from the real or fake abuse of childhood trauma is not happening. It's not happening. And that goes for all you people that buy the child-sized sex dolls as well. I'm coming back for you lot. Coming back for you lot. I did a video all about Pornhub. Pornhub has a very weird community of people that make porn with child-sized sex dolls. It's very strange. So yeah, all right. Oh, hang on. Did I turn off that video?
Music. Still got the music playing.
Yeah, sorry. Hang on. Let me just make sure I've got everything. Let's just get everything closed. This, keep that open. Music goes down. Then we cut back to me and Sean. We're doing it. We know how to do this. So you can see the problem, right? You can see the problem on multiple levels, from the surface web, from false companies luring individuals in to prey on their kids, modeling agencies that delve into the deep web. We've seen the sextortion bleed from teenagers into young girls and become massive international business centering in the deep web. And now we're really looking at the individual types of pedophile, and the child lover pedophile is where we're at. And it's scary. It's scary when companies are normalizing children, adults interacting in childish forms. It's scary. It's scary. And for those of you who don't know what deepfakes are, there's a whole genre of pornography called deepfakes where, you know, people will put, you know, Taylor Swift's face on a porn star and it will make a fake porno with someone in it. And some of them are really convincing. Like, there was a famous bit of footage where a guy done an impression of Obama and they overlaid Obama's face in a deep fake and broadcast it to a bunch of people to see if they would be able to know if it was him or not. And that's all in the Sextortion documentary as well. I cover the deep fake side of things because it's wild. Because, for example, imagine if somebody got a really good shot of your face and then managed to deep fake 3 or 4 seconds of a horrible, you know, bit of a porno, and it looks like you're in it. How much crazy shit that could cause for an average person if it was emailed to them and they said, listen, I want $5,000 fucking dollars or I'm going to fucking send this to your wife. Do you see what I mean? Like, that's why it's a sextortion issue. That's why I mention it. And that's why it's important that you're aware. That's all. So we'll keep going. How you doing? You holding it together?
Yeah, just keep going, man.
Okay,
we gotta go there. I know it's building up the tension.
There was a bit of footage that I was going to play that I've now decided I'm not going to play. It's in my documentary, and it hits home in the most harrowing way, a side of the child lover pedophile that we never think about, which is the conversations that go on between a pedophile, a predator, and the child. Not so much the acts, but the conversations about how they're justifying it to the child is unbelievable. And in one of my documentaries, I show this footage, and it's a father talking to his 6-year-old daughter about their sex life together. And it's...
Their sex life together?
Their sex life together, yeah. Yeah. And he was filming himself talking to his daughters because he wanted to show his girlfriends in Thailand that his daughters were okay with their sex life together. The guy's in jail now. I just want to point out, like, his kids are safe.
Are we allowed to show that?
Oh yeah, I can show it here. Like, I can show it here. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Like, give me a sec. I've actually...
It's not going to get your channel in trouble.
No. It's up on the channel already. Give me a second. What I'll do is I just need to grab it. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible when you think about individual. I tell you what I'll do. I won't show the footage. I'll just play the sound. How about that? And then that'll be a little bit less stressful. So just give me a second. for me, the reason why I think it's important to look at the situation like this is it gives you a better understanding of the whole dynamic of these predators and what these kids go through. It's bad enough that they go through abuse, but then to have to sit and fucking talk about it in that, it's like, it's horrendous. And I think for the average person, when they hear this, it'll really solidify why it's important that none of this information is suppressed and why people need to be able to talk about the realities of this. Because until people really understand the realities, they think they've got a right to shy away from the reality, and you don't. These kids have no way of shying away from anything. And I don't think we have the right to either. Right, give me a sec. Okay, so I can't find the raw file because I'm under pressure and it's live on the internet, but what I do have is the trailer that had the intro in it that I removed from that. So I'll show you guys that, and then I'll try and find the full file for you guys. Actually, is it in this bit? Hang on a second. Might be in here. Okay, we're just going to go with the advert because then no one has to wait any longer and I don't have to talk a bunch of nonsense. So you'll hear a bit of music. I'm sorry if the levels are off. I've got new headphones and I think there's definitely some balancing issues that I think you guys are experiencing. So just give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry, everybody.
You're okay. Just take your time.
All right, here we go.
You're fine.
So this is heavily censored as well. Like, I'm just going to play you guys the audio. I don't really want to show the pixelated stuff. You guys can just have a listen to this.
Now that's got both of us. So you're wanting to continue with touching me, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Continue doing sexual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because I like it.
You like it?
Because it feels good.
Because it feels good.
Or it feels good, like it feels good to you.
It does feel good to me, although I become much more uncomfortable with the idea of doing it, since you are 6 and I'm also your dad. And I'm wanting to have
the raw footage of this goes on for a couple of minutes, and he's sitting trying to justify to this little girl and the people that he's talking to in Thailand about how, it's okay. Hey everyone, it's totally okay if the kids consent, it's totally fine. That's the mindset of the child lover pedophile. Is they think this is appropriate. They think that their argument is the most honorable one, and it's madness. This is what they're trying to normalize, and you need to be aware of it. And it's crazy. It's completely crazy. This guy's in jail now. His kids are safe. The internet lost their fucking mind when this hit Reddit, as you can imagine. And it's an incredibly powerful look into a horrific world that people who are abused and who are trafficked, those are the moments that you never think about existing, let alone witnessing and hearing. And I think it's important that you understand the levels that these poor souls go through. My childhood was fucking amazing.
That video got leaked, and that's how the bastard got taken down.
No, this guy was one of these I'm going to change the world because look, the child can consent, and madness, mate. Absolutely crazy. Gonzo, done. And like I say, there's another video where he talks to his other daughter and she's like, nah, I don't want to do it anymore. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm done with it. And he's like, you know, that's fine. You know, I respect your decision, because apparently, you know, at fucking 5, you're able to do that. Madness. And it goes back
How
to...
old was his other daughter?
I'm pretty sure that the youngest one was 6, and I think the oldest one was 8. 8. So 6 was the youngest. Sorry there. I meant... But I'll dig out the other files for another time. So...
Is he ever getting out of jail?
I don't know. I think he was put in for about 12 or 15 years for multiple abuse crimes, and I think there was also trafficking charges because of sharing children as well. Is something that these individuals do. There's a breed of paedophile called the family paedophile, that they want to find male and a female paedophile that can live together and have a baby that they can raise to share amongst other pedophiles, to then impregnate themselves and make a baby with and keep the cycle going. And these people exist. There's conversations, active conversations, you know, a family pedo male seeks female for, you know, impregnation and sharing. It's mad. It's mad. I've got a bunch of videos on the deep web, on my deep web series, talking to child molesters on the deep web, talking to pedophiles on the deep web. I even contacted a few people that had left email addresses on encrypted community networks and things like this. It's wild. It is wild what the variations in pedophile, like I say, and it's... You very rarely find them stepping out of that niche. Sometimes you see a graduation process, because it's not necessarily anything to do with child lover or family pedophile. It's to do with destruction of innocence. Okay, so currently we've got justification. The children can consent. Justification. We're making our own children. We can do what we want with them, and you know, we can raise them this way. But then you've also got, we just want to see innocence destroyed. We want to see suffering. And there's a massive percentage of those individuals that are completely pedophiles. And then there's a section of them that it's just because children are what represent innocence in its fullest. So if it was, you know, puppies that were represented innocence in its fullest, that's what they'd be watching. But children, babies, toddlers, they are the lambs. And there's individuals that you're going to hear, once we've sort of prepared you a bit better at the end of this series where we dive into the hardcore, you're going to hear a snippet of a conversation from an interview that I had with a female hardcore enthusiast that was in my hardcore documentary. But that genre of individual is super dark. That's where the horror movie style movies are made of these things, where it's the monsters that are into torture, and you see things like Hostel and things like this, except it's not adults, it's teenagers and toddlers, and it's very rarely murder. This is the thing, like the hardcore fans talk about how it's much better to learn how to inflict pain without leaving marks, because, you know, a lot of this comes out of daycare centers and nurseries where people have access to toddlers, so they don't want to leave marks. Sorry to trigger everyone there, but that's where a lot of child abuse, you know, hardcore on toddlers and babies stems from, is these people who have access to kids, because that's, they purposely prepare their life for being teachers or being able to have access to kids. They're not like a lot of these predators are not stupid. They're really not.
So you're talking there, just something came to my mind. A lot of people asked at the end of the last podcast, what was the name of that documentary we watched? And you just mentioned about families raising kids to just abuse the kids and give them out to other pedophiles.
Yeah.
And we watched that documentary about the twins, where the twin lost his memory. So the other twin told him he'd had a perfectly great childhood, even though they'd been... It was a very wealthy family, wasn't it, in the West Country?
Yeah, it was wild. It was like...
What was it called? Because everyone's asking what it was called. Since
it was called...
Was it, who am I? Tell me who I am.
Yeah, tell me... I'll Google it now. Tell me who I am, I think it is. But imagine, as a normal person, as close to the elite level of aristocratic sort of culture a normal person can get. I think that's where their family was, like old money, aristocratic, wearing furs in big stone houses that their families had owned for generations. That was the sort of money they were in. And yeah, we're talking the thing of nightmares, the most horrific female family pedophile story ever. Horrific.
So there's always some people who say Ron's full of shit, this never happens. I urge those people, and I urge everybody else, to watch Tell Me Who I Am.
Oh yeah, Tell Me Who I Am. Yeah, that's what it's called.
This is a wealthy family, and they just had these kids to give the kids to wealthy politicians, artists,
that's crazy.
World leaders, people at the top of society. They just had these kids to give them to these filth at the top of society.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. It sounds absolutely bonkers. I totally agree with you. Like, I totally agree that it sounds mad. It totally does.
Someone in the comments said the father didn't know. Do you believe that the father didn't know, Ron?
Which father?
The father of the two twins.
Oh, did the father know? I mean, they say that he didn't, but how could you? I mean, how could he not?
How could you not?
How could you not? I mean, but maybe not. I mean, I just don't know, because there's going to be so many parents out there who torture themselves every day because the common mindset must be, how could you not know? And sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you just don't.
Well, for that to go on, because the one kid, he stopped it, didn't he, when he became a teenager? But for that to go on for all those years of his life, he would just wake up, and he'd be in some wealthy guy's house, and he'd have been sodomized. For that to go on continuously like that, and for the parents to have him, didn't they have him sleeping in a barn or something?
Yeah, there was
something
messed
up was going on with the father there, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it may have been like one of these mad ignorance is bliss mindsets where he thought something was going on but never realized the extent. But I mean, it doesn't justify anything, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've spoken to survivors who found out that terrible things have happened to their kids years later because they themselves are victims of the abuse, but in a different format. If you're stuck in a situation and having lumps beaten out of you and are driven to the lowest point of your mindset, your brain's not functioning like a fully fledged detective mode brain should be. And sometimes things go under the radar, and that is no one's fault. It's just the systematic cycle of abuse and how being trapped in a prison like that is constructed by these individuals. So it's really messed up. And in fact, just for anyone who says that's not true, literally have a 3-part series coming out with a survivor who just went through all this. Like, she was physically abused, sexually abused, doused with drugs. Our kids were abused. It's a horrific story, and it's real, and that's what we do here. We don't put forward the myths. This is all facts. This is all the realities, and I wish it wasn't. So there is other pedophiles. The virtuous pedophile. This is the last one we're going to talk about. The virtuous pedophile is an adult who's attracted to children but never acts on their impulses. Okay? Now, there is quite a prevalent individual on YouTube who had a whole documentary made about him on the BBC about vigilant pedophiles. And non-contact pedophiles, individuals who are happy to admit that they're pedophiles and will take any help from the government that they can get to continue to be non-contact pedophiles. This, for me, is the big discussion area. This is the only thing I will ever put on the table as an open discussion of what to do other than jail all the pedophiles, right? If we have somebody who is attracted to kids and comes forward and says, hey, Mr. Policeman, hey, Mr. GP, my doctor, I have this issue where I feel the urges towards kids, help me. That is a discussion that we need to have, because we cannot allow any discussion of classification of sexual orientation. We cannot allow it. Okay? The minute that this becomes like heterosexuality, homosexuality, we have a big problem. Okay? The human rights pedo army would go bananas. Okay? It's scary. So you have to watch what arguments you're willing to sort of put your weight behind. And for me, it's like, let's get them tagged. Let's get some chemical castration on the go. Let's get them monitored. You know, that's great. I'm glad you've come forward. Now let's just make sure you can't go anywhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we need to know where you're going. We need to medicate and see how your urges decrease and all this kind of stuff. Because sadly, this is a massive issue. Like, pedophilia is becoming a massive issue. And the MAP movement, the AAM movement, which is adult attracted minor, right? Which is, say, somebody who's 14 who wants to have a 30-year-old boyfriend, refers to themselves as an AAM, adult attracted minor. And then you've got MAPS, which are minor attracted person, which is the rebranding of pedophilia. Do you know what I mean? It's nuts. And this is the modern world.
So you said the virtuous paedophile.
Yeah, the
so that's a
virtuous
new
paedophile.
term.
Yeah, the virtuous paedophile.
I think I've got a story on this then.
Okay.
So Dr. Sarah Good came on the podcast, on my True Crime podcast, and we did an episode called Inside the Minds of Paedophiles. Now, she sent me some of her work that she'd done, and she went on a documentary with a paedophile who you would perhaps define as a virtuous paedophile. And he had a wife, he had kids, and he went on the documentary because he said, I've got these thoughts which I don't act on, and if the public just want to hang people with these thoughts and not understand people with these thoughts, you're never going to fix the problem. So he went on there, showed his face. Obviously, he would have had some repercussions for that. So my questions for you are, A, would you define him as a virtuous paedophile? And B, what do you think about his comment that if you don't understand us, if you just want to lynch us, this problem will never be solved?
Well, the problem isn't the pedophiles who come forward and say they're virtuous pedophiles. The problem is the pedophiles who are going out and doing things that they shouldn't with children. Now, I definitely think that there's truth to, if they're going to act on it, they're going to act on it. So you're definitely going to have a group of pedophiles who are 100% willing to live their life as non-contact pedophiles. But if they observe or have ever viewed child abuse images or videos, then they need to go to jail. Do you see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I'm all for us as a world to figure out what to do with non-contact, non-abuse material viewing, self-confessed pedophiles. That's the only, let's have a big discussion about it and actually try and get some change that we can actually discuss without it being about orientation, which is dangerous. Also, I've lost your camera again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Take care of that.
Yeah, just, you might need to click on and off on your camera.
So for people watching this who are wondering what's going on tonight, I am banned from doing live streams for 1 week, and this was going to be on my channel originally at 6. So Ron very expertly, managed to get all the tech set up and transfer it over to his channel, and we commenced it at 6:30.
Yeah.
So once my ban is lifted, I will be able to post this over to my channel.
Absolutely.
And this ban also means that I cannot post any videos for 1 week, but I do have some videos scheduled. So the True Crime Podcast will be coming up next week. I've got a few more morning videos scheduled, and I've got some prison videos scheduled for the afternoon. So the posting of videos that are scheduled, I believe that's not affected by what's happened to me. They will still go up, won't they, Ron?
Hopefully, yeah.
Because I saw this happen with London Real.
Yeah.
He couldn't post new videos But videos were coming up that he'd scheduled.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, that's
People
great.
said, well, you're telling us you can't post videos. Why are videos coming up? They thought he was lying. Well, that was because he'd already scheduled these videos before the ban.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, like, there's not, like, you know, because Sean's got masses of subscribers, he doesn't have like a secret YouTube hotline that he can phone. He's in the same boat as me. He'll be frustratingly needing his subscribers to go to Twitter and at YouTube Tech or whatever it is. You have, you know, taken this down. Please remove the strike. This has been a mistake. We'll get into that. We'll make sure that I make sure that Sean knows how to do that, and make sure that you guys go and press on Twitter, because that's the only way that YouTube listen. You have to go to Twitter to get. Hang on a second. Are we still streaming?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm watching it. It's all good.
We are. Yeah,
you've got my image back up. You're up. We can hear you perfectly. Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It's just the numbers on the screen freaking me out. So we had a little tiny look on the deep web earlier, and I'd like to sort of take you into the deep web live a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to see anything. There's not anything to see. There's horrific things that you can read. And I think it's important that you just see how prevalent this is, and it's not anything's being made up. These sites are selling this material. These sites are talking about this. And what I'm going to do is, there is a site which I'm just loading up this now. It's a random chat site, and I mean, it is set up for predators and abusers to talk to each other. So let me just see if we get a hit right out the bat here.
While you do that, I'll just tell the comments that it was a video that was done months ago with an old author who was very well educated, just talking about Epstein, Prince Andrew, Savile, and the church. It was on my True Skype playlist. That was the video that caused the problem that got me banned for a week.
Yeah.
But it's weird that it's just come on the back of the Maxwell.
Back of the Maxwell, and like 5 minutes before we're meant to go live, it just goes, nah.
5 minutes before
no streaming, no streaming for you, no streaming for you.
Through 8 lots of Discord.
Yeah.
Discord bloody images.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, I very nearly secretly recorded an outtakes video that would have went viral of Sean Atwood trying to log into something on the internet and getting fucking, you know, when you have to like select all the fire hydrants or select all the cars. Nah, they were messing with him. They were messing with him.
Blurring my images. I think the guest name that video that was taken down is David Sadtler, Sadtler. And this guy was just a well-educated old man that didn't say anything controversial, David Icke level or anything.
Yeah. Damn. It was just some random. Yeah, that is random. Okay, so the first site
you think that might have been the algorithm, don't you?
Yeah, it might have been the algorithm. Yeah. I mean, Jesus. I mean, it's given them a total way out saying that. But I mean, come on. How could it have possibly been right on time? It was like right on time. It was like, are you ready to go live? Yeah. Send me the key. No problem. We're banned. Okay. Like, that's how it went. So that's literally how it went. That's how it went. It was madness. It was madness. Okay, so the first site we're going to look at, I'm just going to throw you in. Obviously, you're not going to see any images. Everything that you're going to read on here is really what I'm trying to get across. And this is an actual site that claims to be distributing over 400 gig of child abuse content that's been gathered up since 1985. So let me see if I get the button right. This one? Is it this one? Is it this one? It's this one. Okay. So you can see here, this is the name of the site, Little Whore CP Porn. Lovely. No images or anything to see. You can see where all the content would have been. The main section of this website, also as well, it's not like you can jump on the deep web and search it like Google, just so you know. So typing that into the deep web wouldn't bring that website up like it would on Google. So you can see here retro. When you see the word CP, that stands for child porn, obviously. 70s and 80s videos and movie clips, amateur video clips, excellent quality. Then we start getting into names. You know, Barbara and Wolfgang, one of my video files posted on the portal, amateur. So this is probably some poor fucking kid being abused by her dad. Miranda and Leo, one of my video files published in our portal, child abuse and pedophile. Emma and Thomas, one of my many, again, don't need to keep reading that. Melanie and Aaron, you can see it just keeps going. These sort of sites are everywhere. Okay, it's almost like how easy it would be to find normal pornography on the surface web. It's insane. It's prolific, and a lot of them are police sites that are using them to take people down. A lot of them are real. A lot of them are set up by entrepreneurs who will just take the person's Bitcoin and then send them a virus. You know, they want to just destroy the computers and bankrupt the individuals who are searching for this. That's the sort of vigilante justice side, if you will, of some of these, what you call a honeypot. And a lot of these sites are that, but, you know, they're prolific. And these are the sites that start the ball rolling on people's obsessions before they hit the community side of it all. And I mean, I'm quite happy to say the IWF, the Internet Watch Foundation, do a great job of shutting these down. How do I find these sites? There is big lists, okay? So in technical terms, you have these things called spiders, right? Which is a bit of coding that goes through the internet and caches stuff, all right? So people add, and spiders add, deep web links to Wiki, like almost like an encyclopedia of links. So you would have technology, communications, and then you would have adult. And this is the sort of shit you find in the adult section, link section of these wiki link sites, if you will. So this is what you call adult content on the dark web. You see what I'm saying? So that's where I find all these. There's also dedicated communities that you know, post sites to their own sort of more secretive pages too. Sorry, on you go, bro.
Yeah, I've got a few questions about this then.
Okay.
So, what's the average lifespan of one of these sites? I imagine they get taken down quite regularly.
Okay, so you've got to imagine the site will have its own community. So its current community will always know where the new site is based off of it just popping up in a new URL. It shuts down where new people can get links that have been posted to it from. It's very difficult. This is what I'm saying when it comes to shutting down the distribution sites. What if the guy who runs this is in Canada, the server is in frickin' Singapore, the URL's been registered in like the Gambia? Like who's in charge of this? What police department do we call? Like that's the cluster of the nightmare situation, you know. And it's always the biggest cases of always happened when someone either makes a mistake or someone gets into taking over the admin controls of one of these big sites. And as the new people are coming in, they're data capturing them. And there's been huge success stories. Just so you know, there's been massive success stories on taking down these sites, the people that run them, the members, everything. And it's only gotten better over the last 5 or 6 years. Like I feel like every year now, there's at least 2 or 3 massive deep web busts that go down. I remember one group was busted in a World War II missile silo in Germany, right? And when they were busted, a quarter of all the drug sites went down on the deep web. A quarter. It's wild.
All right, so when these sites are put up, then you said that generally, you know, the roots are spread around the world and these people can't be apprehended. And then you said that they get apprehended when they make some kind of mistake.
Yeah, like...
Could you just expand on that? Yeah. What kind of mistakes?
So there was a big case. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was the HurtMe site, and the site that came out of Australia. It's in the next episode. These individuals basically left back doors to their sites open. So the governing bodies, the FBI, whoever it was that did the bust, was managed to get into the main site and take over it. If you see what I'm saying, there was a lot of people.
No, I'm not very technical, and I imagine some of the other viewers aren't.
Okay.
What does that mean? They left back doors to their sites open.
Okay, so there's two ways of that to happen. Is if somebody can infiltrate a community and be given powers to, create, make administrative decisions within a community, kick and ban and control the flow of content. When a site gets taken over by, say, the FBI or Homeland Security, they keep the site up so that new members coming in can be locked inside and their information is kept. When an individual is busted and their computer's taken from them, okay, and they bust an individual who runs a community like this, they gain access through the main portal, which is how you would log into Facebook. You know what I mean? If he's doing his dastardly deed, they would have his logins, and they would be the head administrator for his own account, if you see what I'm saying. But sometimes these websites and the web services that are used, the database or the back end where information is stored as, text files on servers, the hosting side of it, people can gain access through the hosting side and pull that raw data out. And that's another way that these individuals' IPs and their locations are discovered, not just by law enforcement, by vigilantes as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm assuming that these sites then are created to make money.
Yep.
And people are paying to access certain things.
Yep.
What chance does the authorities have of following the money and showing up on the doorsteps of the people who've paid to access this content?
Almost none, because it's digital currency. It's all crypto. It's all crypto. It's all cryptocurrency. A lot of the time, they'll make mistakes in pictures they've posted. It's as simple as that. Like, they'll leave a geotag in a JPEG, or there's something in the background that is zoomed in on. It gets to that level of luck sometimes with the investigations. But like I say, we're gonna talk about two cases in the next episode where massive communities on the deep web have been taken down by police forces, and that's going to sort of bridge our gateway into looking at Scully and some of the more darker, torture-bound people, shall we say. Because right now, like I say, we're still in the realms of people who think kids can consent. This website you're looking at is horrific, but that's people that think kids can consent videos, okay? Like, it's so messed up when you realize the different levels of the wants of these monsters. It's fucking horrible. It really is.
Just to give people a glimmer of hope then, because my brain's starting to do that shutdown thing.
Yeah.
That it happened when last time I interviewed you. It's like it doesn't want to hear this. What kind of sentences do these bastards get when they get taken down?
Right, well, the big guys, they're all, like, Scully's in jail for life. He's never getting out. The Faulkner, I think he got given 14 or 15 years because the majority of his stuff was online. The last individual we're going to look at who will is, what the hell's his name? Hang on.
Huckle.
Yeah, Huckle. Again, he had a 9-year reign of terror. He was going to be jailed for like 30 odd years and was murdered in prison. Was choked to death.
This is a story of KOS. And if some people understood what that meant in the chat, or people said, what does that mean? So in Arizona prison, if you end up in there with a sex offense, it's KOS, kill on sight.
Yeah. And that's the common sort of mindset for a lot of places. Rapists and pedophiles, you're done. You know, it's the lowest form of any kind of crime to abuse vulnerable people. It's shocking. So we're going to have a little look at the last actual case of this episode, which is Huckle. And again, it's important that we see this because when it comes to these pedophiles that we've looked at tonight, they're educated. They're people with respectable upbringings. And they're people that, when you think about a cookie cutter template for a monster, they would go under the radar. Hang on a minute. Here we go, this one. Push the wrong button. Let's push the wrong button, everybody. Okay, here we go. So let's just take a look into the last of our actual predator cases on this episode, which is the case of Richard Huckle. Have a look.
Right now, we're going to look at some of the most horrific acts of paedophilia. First case we're going to look at is Richard Huckle, a UK-born paedophile. Had a 9-year streak of abusing children he was there to educate, some as young as 6 months.
Huckle was a bright child, winning a place at the prestigious Harvey Grammar School in Folkestone. But he achieved only modest GCSE exam results. At 16, he joined fellow pupils doing project work in Namibia, Southern Africa. He later returned to school, did poorly in exams, and left to study photography at college. Happy times, and perhaps the last together for the Huckle family. Soon after this photograph was taken, Richard Huckle returned to Southeast Asia, back to his extraordinary secret life of child sex abuse. On another visit home, he was arrested, and the vast scale of his crimes began to emerge. Huckle had used his religion and a fast-track teaching qualification to dupe his way into a poor community. He then spent 9 years raping their babies, toddlers, older children. Much of it he filmed and shared with other paedophiles. School friend Scott Chapman remembered Huckle as a loner.
He never seemed off or anything like that.
This is it. I mean, listen to what this guy says.
He just seemed like a normal person, as if just very, very quiet. Didn't really talk about home and things like that. That's a lot of children. We talking a baby here?
6 months old.
6 months. Unreal.
It scares me. The fact that someone can change so quickly. I'm genuinely shocked. It makes you feel sick. And a couple of the other guys that we were friends with have kids in this age range. I mean, they're a little bit older than mine, but the fact that 6, 4, 5, he may have even been around our friends' kids at this age.
Huckle began posting hundreds of pictures on the internet, mostly of children. None of these is a victim. But it did happen. For 9 years, Richard Huckle had been committing monstrous crimes against many of the children entrusted to his care. As a cover, he posted many innocent photographs of his victims on the legitimate internet. But on the encrypted websites of the dark web, he also filmed and photographed himself abusing them and shared the images with other paedophiles. But what of Richard Huckle's family? How have they reacted? It appears his parents sold up and moved away as soon as they could. His elder brother did not want to discuss him. Huckle's sister-in-law told me,
"None of his family will speak about him. None of us ever want to see Richard again."
Well, they got their wish.
Richard Huckle wasn't an opportunist sex attacker. He was a predator who targeted and groomed his victims and abused them systematically over many years. The judge said his crimes were of the utmost gravity, and he warned him to expect to go to prison for life.
So Richard Huckle, an absolute nightmare.
I'm assuming you knew about that case, about Huckle.
Yeah, do you want to detail what actually happened to him?
About what happened to him in prison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to pull it up, or have you got it?
I've got it right here.
Okay.
Richard Huckle, paedophile, killed in prison, strangled and stabbed. This was October last year. Paedophile Richard Huckle died after being strangled and stabbed with a makeshift weapon that may have been fashioned from a toothbrush, sources have told the BBC. Huckle, 33, who was in prison for up to abusing 200 Malaysian children, was killed on Sunday in his cell. It is thought that he strangled... Oh, God, here we go. It's thought that he was strangled with some sort of bandage. Police investigation have reportedly focusing on Paul Fitzgerald, his fellow inmate, for the offences. But yeah, 22 life terms. I mean... That's the sentence we want. Those are the sentences we want handed out to these individuals. 150 million%.
He definitely had a weird look in his eyes. And when he said, what was it? I've got a 3-year-old who's as loyal as a dog.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. You see, I put those quotes in there because those were his private conversations when he's talking about it's amazing to have child pornography I've made with a 3-year-old that is now a 12-year-old, and seeing the progression. That is the thing of nightmares for anyone who's in a position of power with children, especially from an educating point of view. It is sickening. And Huckle's reign, like I say, almost a decade on the deep web. Some of these sites, Sean, in order to be a member, some of the biggest sites that have ever taken place, in order to be a member, every month you have to upload new abuse content. So you have to have access to a child and be actively abusing that child to be part of these communities. And that was how the membership went with, I think it was Hurt Me, and I can't remember the name of the other site, but it is getting covered. That was their rules, because that's how you weed out people that are trying to take them down. Those are the ones who aren't uploading. It's crazy.
Everyone in the comments is glad he's gone, and if anyone had a killing coming, Huckle had a killing coming.
Yes. If there was ever, like, all the stuff that falls off airplanes every year and just lands randomly in places, like, those are the sort of things we need, like the hand of destiny to come in and just sort of nudge them along to the sex offenders. Do you know what I mean? As they sat in their conservatory, a bit of a Boeing 747 falls off. That's what we need, karma. All right. But
so watching that then reminded me of a documentary I watched about Jimmy Savile.
Oh yeah.
Not Jimmy Savile, sorry. Gary Glitter. I think it was something like Gary Come Home. They were like in search of him.
Yeah.
And they went through this village where Gary Glitter had been posing as a doctor and going in these orphanages, getting his guitar out, and then, doing these things to these kids.
It's horrible.
And they went through this village, the camera crew, and they pretended to be predators. And one of the camera crew approached the family and said, like, how much for your 12-year-old daughter? And they were like, well, do you want her for a couple of hours? Do you want her for overnight? Do you want her for a couple of days? And it was like hardly any money at all this family was asking to just allow this to happen to the daughter. So it seems that there's just an industry of this.
Yeah, I mean, the sexual tourism is a whole other thing. Like, there is conversations that we're going to look at when we get into the real nasty communities, where we're talking about active discussions about kidnapping children and all this kind of stuff, where stuff gets real serious. And these are the communities that just pop up and disappear, because it's incredible when you realize how cheap life is outside the Western world, the cushy bubble that we all have here. Things are very different.
I'm just wondering what happened to Gary Glitter, whether he's still breathing. Just to update people then, Gary Glitter was a famous music star in the 1970s, I think. And He's 75 now. He's currently serving a prison sentence after being convicted for attempted rape, indecent assault, and having sex with a child under 13. He was found with thousands of indecent images on his laptop in 1999 and jailed in Vietnam in 2006 for molesting 2 girls aged 11 and 12.
Damn. That is, again, the thing of nightmares. And using fame and using, again, positions of power, posing as doctors. It's just the sickening tactic of the predator.
The sad thing is that the movie The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, he was dancing down a staircase to a Gary Glitter song, which means that Gary Glitter would get a fortune in royalties from that song.
Yeah. Are we sure? Because maybe
that's what it says. That's what it says here in the on Google anyway.
Because there's a weird copyright law that's, oh no, it's 50 years after the person's dead. That's what it is. So 50 years after Gary Glitter dies, all of his music won't be copyright, the same as everybody else, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Glitter was on the soundtrack and in an integral scene.
Well, I guess what positive can we take from that? Like, he's obviously got no access to his money, right? So, like, does he have maybe like kids that are disgusted at who their dad is that will maybe get some of that money, then Gary Glitter won't see any of it? Like,
probably end up in the hands of lawyers because he's got so many legal situations. Like Max Clifford, he got liquidated by the lawyers, I believe.
You'd think they'd just pick a different song, really. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, let's pick a different song.
Yeah.
You've frozen a little bit there. I think you'll fix yours. It should fix itself. Hang on. We're doing well. We're getting there. Listen, YouTube tried to take us down. All right. We're doing well.
This is the live stream that wasn't supposed to happen. Those Illuminati bastards. 5 minutes to go, just after I'd passed 8 lots of Discord images. Click here if there's a hydrant. Click here if there's a crosswalk. Click here if there's. It took me 8 rounds of doing that shit to get in.
Yeah.
I was so happy, and then I go on, about to start the live stream, and it says you cannot live stream for 1 week. You're banned from live streaming for 1 week.
100%
And the video that caused that, if you didn't hear me earlier, was David Sadler, who I interviewed about Savile, Prince Andrew, and the church. And they said, what was it? They said cyberbullying.
Yeah, it was the new anti-bullying rule that came in.
Harassments, threats, and cyberbullying.
Wild. You'll have criticized a vegan or some shit, and then boom, you're down.
I wonder if it was because he mentioned the church. I don't do much on the church.
Don't know. Maybe.
But we're here anyway.
But back over to the deep web, right? There's another term that some of you have heard, which is probably jailbait, right? Which is a type of content where, it's illegal content, really, really young looking people. And this is a deep web site that's supposedly run by a woman called Julie, and it's Julie's website. So you're just going to read some of the things on the screen. I've had to highlight it all because whatever she built her website with, all of the backdrops to the text must have been filled with an image because she's using like white text against a white background. So I've highlighted it all, and I'll scroll down and you'll be able to read some of it, but it'll be on the screen in just 1 second. If Ron can remember which button to press. There we go. So hello, my name is Julie. This is my page. I have a collection of different videos from the last 5 years, 5 terabytes. So she's a model from Malaysia, from Lolita Land. Stars and Stripes. Siberian Mouse continues. Masha photos. I have a collection of polar lights, some little, See, it's again a stockpile of either a multitude of creators or somebody who's stockpiling content to redistribute on this site. And again, very, very common. This is almost like if you want to be part of a content pedo creator community, that's this sort of site where they give the impression that there's like news posts and updates, and you'll be able to sort of interact a little bit more, and there's a bit more of a community and forum. Yeah, there you go. See up here. Direct download photos and videos, forum plus chat. Right there. So that's the sort of other side, the distribution sites where we're now merging into distribution and creation and community, if that makes sense. Which is, again, something that's becoming heavily prevalent on the deep web. I'm really just trying to break these in easily because the next one is horrific. So again, you're not going to see.
Before we go, I've got a question then.
Yeah.
So my interpretation is that at the beginning of your statement, they're trying to get people to send them pedo content.
Yeah, the bigger.
And then with that pedo content, what do they do then? Recycle it, sell it?
Yeah, 100%. Like for example, the sites that we were talking about, when we're talking about a site that big, you're just paying a monthly fee to be there. So you'll be paying a monthly fee in cryptocurrency, and you'll be having to upload content. Depending on if you do that for how long will be how long you stay, and you'll go up through the ranks, and it's a clout system. You know, I've uploaded this and I got the kid to hold up a bit of paper with the admin's name on it, so I get extra clout. You know, it all works like that. And these sites had thousands of members all paying out Bitcoin every month and uploading content for clout. And there's a tiered membership system as well. So to have full access, you needed to do all of those things. You need to pay and provide content. It was nuts. And again, this is actual reported crimes that have happened. They've gone to jail. This is all public knowledge, and we will be displaying that when we start moving into the hardcore and torture realms and looking at those producers, because those are the big sites that tend to get the most attention for some reason when it comes to the police and taking stuff down. There was a guy out in Australia we're going to look at as well who was a civil servant, and his job was dealing with mentally handicapped children, and he was like torturing and abusing them for another massive community whose leader got taken down, and he turned out to be like 20 years old and was the most prolific distributor of hardcore on the internet. It's wild. It's a wild history. It really is. And like I say, it only gets more dark. And I'm going to keep trying to present it in a palatable way for everybody. Remember, I keep needing to hydrate.
But you just said before I interrupt you, you've got something pretty grim next.
Yeah, so I'll let you have a look at the very last site, just to show you how nothing is off the table. When it comes to we're not talking about torture, we're not into that realm yet, we're talking about sexual abuse. That there is no realm to the depravity of these motherfuckers on the deep web. So just have a look at what this says.
Oh, God.
That is the world we live in. This is 7 to 12-year-olds and toddlers. And this one keeps popping up and disappearing and popping up and disappearing. Give me 1 second, I'll see what I can scroll down on here. Just 1 second, I never checked this. Yeah, okay, here we go. Where does things start? No code. All right, yeah, I can scroll down this whole thing. All right. Sometimes they've got links, like visible links. So, best pictures video, incest, preteens, sex with, you know, you can read that there. Here is image sets and names and all this kind of stuff. We offer you pedophilia. A whole bunch of headers there that you can see. These are all content that's been uploaded that won't be displayed. And yeah, there's a lot of sites that claim to be all about newborns, toddlers, 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, and that is fucked. Sorry to swear, but that is where, when it comes to sexual abuse, there is no limits to the depravity on the dark web. Nothing's off the table. And
so this brings to mind the case of Lost Prophets then. And I just looked at that again the other day. Attempted rape of a baby was one of his convictions.
Yeah, attempted rape of a baby, yeah. And what? Like, that's where my brain starts to short fuse. Do you know what I mean? When that, I can't fathom. I can't. That's why I can't meet these people. That's why I hunt them on the internet and not in real life, kids. Because, Jesus. Yeah, there was a movie with Joaquin Phoenix where he went about with a hammer. It would be a lot like that. And
yeah,
it's not. I'm not trying to glorify anything. I'm not trying to show off or anything like that. You just need to understand that's the reality. That's what's out there. That's just when we're dealing with sexual abuse. We've not even started on the really fucking horrible stuff yet. And the red rooms, I know you're all excited. You'll want to, see some stuff to do with that. We've got all that coming. I was talking about this on the podcast, and I just wanted to show you guys, just whilst we're on the deep web. This was the red room that was meant to have been the one that those kids in Italy got charged for accessing. Just so you know. And if we just jump on in, obviously, why not? Again, you're not going to see anything, but this is apparently the one. This is one that people were taking screenshots of. I can't confirm it, but you can see Spectator, 4 available, Commander, 1 available, Master, sold out. And there's a download link for the last torture session, once in a lifetime experience, 14 days, 4 hours left till the next session. And the weird thing is, somebody brought my attention to people trafficking in Ohio round about this time of the year. And the next show on this site is meant to be coming from Ohio. It's weird, really weird that it happened to be Ohio. So, yeah, deep web, really horrible place. Apparently the guy in the deep web random chat was a hacker looking for other hackers to join him. I'll just fire that over just now so you can see that I'm being reals right there. I forgot I was talking to him and we just went back to doing the broadcast. So, yeah, but the random chat site is crazy.
Could you just expand on that story then for people who are not familiar with it? The 2 Italians went to prison. What were they convicted of, and what actually happened in the red room?
They were arrested and charged. 2 teenagers were arrested and charged for accessing a deep web website where they were then ushered to watch torture for profit with a live audience that were given instructions on what would happen to these kids. Now, they were arrested, and the Italian police found this site, and they're going through I need to follow up on it. The last time I invested, because no one was covering it outside Italy and cryptocurrency websites, but they were arrested. It's 100% real that these kids were participated in a red room on the deep web. And there's been a huge operation in Italy to crack down on deep web child porn operations, and they've found that the people that they're busting are younger and younger, 18, 19, 20 years old. And it's weird because it almost feels like, again, these individuals are almost being used as like safe houses for content by individuals. That's the sort of story that no one's talking about, feeling that again.
So they went into the red room and they paid a certain amount of money to request a certain level of torture. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I think they went in and witnessed things and were not of the level where they could orchestrate or command anything. But as reported in the Italian news, and I quote, you could give instructions like sawing off a limb and having hot oil poured over the wound. Just to put in perspective, we're not talking I mean, just try and fathom that. It's horrible.
So, okay, so they got the Italians that were watching it.
Yeah.
What about the victim?
That's the thing. I have no idea. There was no follow-up information at all. Now, for me, if we're to believe this is real, this has to be on a massive boat out at sea in a shipping container where the long line of tortured and dead children are just thrown over the edge. That is the only logical way this could happen, because where do you put all the kids? Sooner or later, someone's getting pulled over. Sooner or later, the big van full of little fucking kid corpses is going to get pulled over because they've got a broken tail light or something, okay? Would have happened by now. So my money is on out at sea, man. Out at sea. There's a reason why we have international waters, satellite phones, and basically internet connection around the globe. And it's not difficult to think that that's possible. There was a report of shipping containers found that had been turned into torture cells in, I think was it Berlin? I think it was Berlin. And it was a drug cartel that owned them, and apparently they were going to use them to interrogate people. Sure, the best place to have your fucking interrogation room is on a dock in a fucking harbour. No, mate. You would just have that shipping container in the woods, buried, then you'd soundproof it, and that would be that. You don't have it in a dock. That was going on a boat, and they were the fall guy. The people that paid the money, they gave up whoever was the low-end dealer drug people that they were involved in. You know, chances are that drug group just basically supplied the party chemicals for all the mad bastards on the boat. And they were just cut loose as part of the story.
Question has just come in for you, Ron. Yeah. Is this happening in Scandinavia?
It's happening all over the world. Like, to different levels because of the economic conditions of each country. So it's happening everywhere, but it's happening more in places where human rights aren't particularly good. There's not a lot of money. The legal age of consent is lower. It's fucked. There's no extradition laws.
So probably the wealthy viewers would be more likely to be in the Western countries in Scandinavia, and the victims and the orchestrators would be in like Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia.
Yeah,
somewhat where life is cheap.
Yeah, to some extent, but 100% you will have wealthy individuals in most countries in the developed world who, if they are into this sort of thing, they will have their facilitation of that set up 100%. Epstein's case showed us the elite level of what he was a glorified fixer, right? Let's be honest, right? He was a fixer, okay? And he just so happened to be mega rich and be able to literally build the Disney version of Pedoland on an island. Did you see what I'm saying? But he was still just a facilitator. You know what I'm saying? He was a glorified barman serving children. And that shows you the level of facilitation that's needed. And that filters down right the way from the elite level and the low level elite to rich muggles. You know, people like you and me, if we ever win the lottery and become rich, and that's how we get our status. You see what I'm saying? It filters down and filters down and filters down. And people like you and me, if we ever got rich and we were, you know, predator, abuser bastards, it's very unlikely we would ever reach Epstein's Island or a contact with him, because that we're out of that circle. But there's still circles to facilitate the rich average Joe who's become into money and has that mindset. And it filters all the way down, right the way down to poor little fucking kids being dragged around houses and trafficked in the back of a Volvo around bastards' houses. Do you know what I'm saying? And every level of in between.
A few more questions coming in. I imagine that there's going to be the same answer. Someone's asked if you've heard about any of this coming out of South Africa. I imagine it's going to be a similar answer. Yeah. The other question is your thoughts on Wayfair and also adrenochrome.
Wayfair and adrenochrome, I would need to really prepare for a night talking about that. Sorry, I'm just deactivating parental controls on my son's Switch to give us some more peace. I would need to go into it all, because for me, there has been so many other things going on, and for me, when I hear about things like Wayfair, there's so many stories that came before Wayfair that sounded like Wayfair that were just madness, if you see what I mean. So I never really looked into it a very great deal. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any credibility or clout or whatever. It just means I couldn't give you an answer on it, sadly. And the same with the adrenochrome. For me, I've got my mission, which is these communities and trying to bring light on the realities of the situation. I can't try and spread myself out too much on topics. It's hard. I wish I could just clone myself, right, and have a couple of like editor Rons and like a filming Ron, and like it would just be great. But there's only so much. So if there's any like eccentric millionaires watching, all right, just let us know, okay? We need heavy funding, like heavy funding. So it is the reality of the situation, and I'm trying to contact a couple of detectives that I spoke to who woke me up a couple of weeks ago to come and talk about my YouTube channel. That's coming up in my next vlog, by the way. You got to hear how I handled this situation. I love it. I love it when but anyway, it was closed detectives as well. It was the first time that they hadn't sent uniformed cops. But I'm very much trying to get a series done with the deep web where I sit with a cybercrime police officer and show him, look, I've just shown you, and see what their reaction is and see what their level of knowledge on the situation actually is. And I think that would be an interesting insight into the law enforcement's knowledge too.
Did you film the police visit?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Holy shit, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Can you legally broadcast that?
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, I can. Jesus Christ. I just blur faces and stuff, man. Jesus Christ. I just need your permission to put your face on the internet. I'll augmentate your voice and hide your face. No problem, detective. And they even asked me and it's so funny because in situations where dominance is trying to be enforced by two parties, but they don't want it boiling over, they start repeating words that each other have said to try and build a trust. And I have a definitely counter, and I think we get to like 19 definitelys in the conversation, because you can see the tactics and the trust that they're trying to build. And because they were saying to me, we're not here to cause you to arrest you. And I'm like, obviously you're not here to arrest me. I've done nothing wrong. And then I just go off on this rant about how, you'll see, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Me talking to the police at my front door is always highly entertaining. And they're always very welcome to come back anytime. It's great.
Susan's asked, what can we, the public, do about this?
To be honest with you, there's good groups on Facebook that educate and teach you how to report stuff. Just try and be aware of what child exploitation looks like. Modeling agencies or YouTube channels or people that are trying to push the boundaries of that, and just be vigilant and report it. Make sure you're aware that if you've got teenage kids and you think that it's an invasion of privacy installing software so you can monitor their activities, instead of calling it an intrusion of a breach of privacy or an invasion of privacy, just call it a rape defender. And as a parent, that gives you much more justification to make sure your kids are safe, because that's the realities of it. And it's important that we all educate ourselves on that. And you just got to make sure that your kids understand the realities too. I know it's a lot to take in, like, oh, I'm going to sit down and talk to my kids about sextortion, but it's really important, because all you need to do is say to your kids, hey kids, this is a roll of duct tape, okay? And if you have a camera on your laptop, this is all you're going to do, right? I bet this doesn't rip now, right? Okay. All you're going to do is just have that over your camera when you're not using it. You have just defended yourself from every deep web blackmail, sextortion, webcamming, hacking group in the world with a piece of duct tape. You know, there's even stickers on Amazon now that are tiny little stickers that go over the mobile phone lenses on your camera that have got a slider that close the camera lens off now. Very good to buy. They're like $10 for a fucking sheet of the bastard. So they're worth getting. But you just, what have you got to lose? Even if you think I'm totally batshit crazy, what have you got to lose by just putting a bit of duct tape over your camera? You've no idea what email you might open and click on that might be a phishing scam. You've just no idea. You've no idea.
A few more questions here then. Sure. They're asking about TikTok, and other than reporting sites, what else can they do? Some people said they're not on Facebook. Maybe you could put some links below the video at some point for people.
I'm speaking pretty generally.
You do have a shitload of links below the video. Actually, I'm just looking now. There's report child abuse online, stop child abuse. Blah, 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 blah.
There's an interesting one there, which is identifying images. So there's a website where global crime organizations have got together and they've cut parts out of child abuse content. So they'll cut out a television that's weird and they'll show you the television and say, do you recognize this? Or a weird emblem on a jumper that might be hanging up. And there is so many convictions now that are coming from people identifying their neighbor's, work jacket in a video. And these crime organizations have shown that. It's amazing. It's amazing when you think how, that's crazy, that'll never work. Go and have a look, because you just never know. That's all I'm saying.
But they're asking, are the police trained and equipped to deal with this?
No. Let me tell you why. For what I said earlier, it's the jurisdiction thing. It's you're never going to have a company with a budget big enough to compete with people working unified for free for a united mission. And it's the same with pedophiles. There's clever computer pedophiles and hacker pedophiles and all this stuff that make sure it's a nightmare for these people. It's insane. Like, the police have got a really tough job when it comes to the big problems, syndicate sites and all the rest of it. Cryptocurrency is an issue. The fact that now it's not even the deep web. Like I say, we're going through this slowly, and by the end of it, you'll see how the deep web has now become a stepping stone into apps, because apps offer the same anonymity and services that the deep web used to do when it was in its prime and no one knew about it. And now it's a lot easier to throw, your mobile phone in the fucking river than it is to get rid of all of the equipment like I have. If you were to try and get rid of 2 PCs and 3 monitors and get it rid of before the police come, I mean, Jesus, there's some blenders that you can put mobile phones in that will blend a mobile phone to dust. So
on that subject, people are asking if mobile phone cameras can be hacked and hijacked.
Of course they can. Your mobile phone camera is filming you right now. I'm sorry. Your camera on your phone is constantly on. Just to be clear, your camera and your mic are constantly on your phone, recording 24/7. Okay? Whether or not someone is tapped into the feed is another story. This is not conspiracy.
It's like that famous Julian Assange quote, isn't it? That the police don't need to get people to wear wiretaps anymore. Everybody's walking around with a recorder,
GPS
video that's going all the time.
Yeah, we're talking HD video, a GPS, and a microphone. It's bonkers. It's bonkers. And don't get me wrong, they've made it so convenient for us to agree to have this. It's kind of mad that we pay hundreds of pounds each month for the privilege of being watched in this way. That's the cleverest part of the plan ever. Ever. We'll convince them to carry this stuff around, but we'll also bill them for it. We'll make it a status symbol. That was a true evil bastard in the office that day when they came up with the smartphone idea. That was new level of twisted. And that's why we have so much ease in life, banking and fucking communicating with our friends and, showing off our life all through these little rectangles. But understand me, right? The same reason, right, that, for example, it's a really good idea. If we were run by normal people, if the world was run by normal people and there wasn't a secret elite bunch of neo-Nazi bastards, right? All these ideas like microchips in your hands and like unified currency, these are all great ideas. until they're run by fucking lunatics. Do you see what I'm saying? So sadly, that's the world we live in. You are constantly being monitored, okay? Do an experiment. For the next week. Every morning you get up for work, sit your smartphone down in front of you with a web page open and start talking about how you're looking for new cat food for your cat, okay? Every morning, and then wait for the targeted ads for cat food to roll in, okay? Try it.
People are asking if predators are creating content by putting little hidden cameras in hotel rooms, toilets, bathrooms. I know that the sheriff, Joe Arpaio, in the Arizona jail, he got in trouble because he had cameras in the female prisons' toilets.
Yeah, all right. This is a massive problem. The reason this is a problem is I could go on wish.com right now and buy a smoke alarm with an HD camera in it. Okay? So if I go and buy 10 of them for $5 each, and all they do is record on an SD card, and I go and fit them in hotel rooms and all the rest of it, that's how easy it is. You can go and buy plug sockets now that I could replace a plug socket, and all the screws are mics and cameras. You need to understand the tech that's out there. And there's really simple ways of detecting these things. Ironically, I have a full kit for detecting these things up here. I don't know if any of the batteries are charged, but it's a special red lens that you look through, and then it flashes a red light that then goes into camera lenses and creates a white dot of light that comes back. So if something's got a hidden lens, it refracts the lens back to you. If you see what I'm saying, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, but again, that's sextortion again. You have got cheap mobile phone chargers from China that when you plug them into the wall and plug your phone into them, they're data mining all of your fucking information. It's bonkers. If you truly knew the extent of the crap that comes out of China for covertly monitoring people, it's bonkers. It's bonkers. I mean, highly good fun if you've got, if you're young, you're single, you and your flatmate want to torture each other and all that stuff. You can have some good fun with scaring the shit out of people with hidden speakers and microphones. I'll tell you that right now. And it's good times. But again, I know Sean's frozen again. I'm trying to fix him. he's two little blue squares that are currently loading, but he's here. Don't worry, he's here. And I am trying to fix it, but it's a wild world. It's a wild topic. It's a horrible topic, and I just wanted to make camping videos. I just want to be clear, okay? Like, I just wanted to make camping videos, but I couldn't understand why anyone with a platform who knows this exists wouldn't at least once bring attention to it. Because these kids, when you actually have a conversation with someone who's been abducted, imprisoned as a child, abused for fucking child porn, they get liberated, they're free now, and they're living their life. Like, people see the justice that, because someone's gone to jail, they think justice has happened. There's no justice for these poor survivors. They have to live with this forever. And the after effects that fall on these kids as they grow up it's harrowing. The self-harm that a lot of them go through as a way of coping with things. And listen, I know you've all think that you've seen self-harm. You've seen people with scars on their arms. Try and imagine when you see like a Yakuza tattoo that is to the collar, neck, and to the cuff, so that if you're wearing a suit, you can see none of it. But everything else is thousands and thousands and thousands of tiny scars. Thousands. You can't ever imagine that there is ever justice when someone has to live their life because of the desires and disgusting needs and gratifications of some of these individuals. I swear to God, Sean, your computer is in lieu with YouTube.
All right, so the people watching this then, we did have it scheduled to finish at 9.
Yep.
We've got about 10 minutes left. If anyone out there in the chat has not had their question answered, now would be a good time to post your questions in the chat before we wrap this up. I filmed 2 podcasts before this, so
I think
going
as well,
to finally get something to eat when this
as the series progresses, I'm going to.
Do you think it's right to drag evil from the dark web to the surface? Let me just say something about that before I hand it over to you, Ron. So, evil operates in the darkness. That's why we're doing our documentary series, UK's Hidden Shadows. And the only way to bring these people to justice is to shine a light onto that darkness. And the more public are aware of what is going on in these places, the more our corrupt politicians will receive pressure from people to legislate and allocate resources to protect the kids. Because right now, the politicians, the prison system, the justice systems are just set up to arrest low-level users of drugs under the war on drugs to fill the private prisons. And there's this massive misallocation of resources. We want that ended, and we want these resources to go to housing these predators, giving them long sentences, not these disgusting cases where we see these, for example, Catholic priests who have hundreds of victims, high-priced lawyers come in, and they get little slaps on the wrist.
Yes, exactly.
We want everything is upside down, and it's people like Rom, who is a frontline warrior in the war against predators, that should be saluted and supported to the fullest, so that we can take these bastards down.
And I really appreciate you saying that, because I just refer myself to as an idiot on the internet, so I appreciate that. But I think for me, it's more about learning how to present information, because I've not had any training in. I come from a graphic design and motion graphics background, so you'll have seen it in the trailer when we did like 9 edits of the trailer, because everything I sort of got the idea. I see now. I kind of present stuff in a way that it needs to just be a little more palatable for some people, and I think that's what I'm learning. I don't think it's necessarily bad to hunt out the dark corners of the world. I think it's learning how to present it in a way that isn't really freaking upsetting for people.
Next question. At what age can the label of paedophile be used in the UK?
I think as soon as you're an adult, right? 16. So if you're a 16-year-old and you go after a 12-year-old, you're an adult here, so you'd be jailed and tried as an adult. So I would assume that's to my knowledge anyway.
Do we believe in vigilante justice? We cannot encourage people to commit crimes, but when we hear stories like what happened to Huckle in prison, it does give me a warm feeling.
Yeah. Also, I say the first predator hunting group to use a net gun, I'm totally tuning in to see that. Chasing down the pedophiles with a big fucking net gun, that's going to be content gold. But I don't know, there's a lot of the vigilante teams that I think are incredible. Some of them not so much, but it needs to happen. Like, the police are literally quoted as saying, we do not have the capabilities of dealing with this at all. Like, because, it's so...
And Cheshire Police just a few days ago announced, well, we just busted someone with 2 cannabis plants.
Oh, yeah, listen.
How much tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands is it going to cost to do that operation, process that person through the court system, and then put them in prison at 60,000 a year, whatever ridiculous amount it is.
For a plant that if you just so happen to set on fire, it does things to your brain, right? Which, by the way, I just want to say, and I'm not just trying to big anything up here, right? But your brain, the human brain, has these receptors, and the only thing that fits into them is the chemical compound of a certain plant. So if you're telling me that we're not kind of meant to be using this to, you know, cure cancer and that in our kids, then let's just understand why there's a control on a plant. It's bad for business. Okay.
Our Lily's asked if you'll put the link to the device to find hidden cameras in the description box.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
And Jack has asked if you've infiltrated Hurtcore forums, and I believe we're going to we're building up to that.
Okay, well, Hurtcore forums are really hard to find. You'll have some communities who are a bit into some dark shit, but when we talk about actual Hurtcore communities, they are so fucking clever. These are the ones you could make movies about. And it would be fucking harrowing and gripping because it's so wild how well orchestrated they are, how they come and they go, they'll appear, they'll recruit a bunch of people, and then they vanish. You know? And when they pop back up, they pop up where they left off. Everything is stored. Every post, every image. And it's about making sure that they can't be reported for content. These forums are clever. You're not going to go on there and find a bunch of public posts and links and all this. You will find heavy discussions about why duct tape is a bad idea for abducting children. And then a whole discussion about trace DNA. It's wild. And I data captured a bunch of it before it went down the last time. Some of it was in the Hurtcore documentary. Some of it wasn't. There's a dark side that I've never gone down, which is a necrophilia side, which is growing as well on the dark web. Have you frozen again? You're regularly such a still man. It's hard to tell sometimes when you're frozen. I'm going to be honest.
I'm blinking.
No, you definitely froze. You definitely froze. But man, I'm telling you.
Karma Jane has asked, are we going to have movies, documentaries out? I'll answer that first. I will say that our UK's Hidden Shadows Part 2, which is about Jimmy Savile, we're hoping to get that out before the end of the year, actually, but we'll see. It might be in the new year. It's going to be over 3 hours long, all original content, not stuff we've just taken from previous interviews. And we're going to keep going with that UK's Hidden Shadows series. And Ron's got all kinds of stuff on his channel, so please check it out.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I've just realized that I've not thanked anyone for donations and super chats and things like that. So thank you to everyone that's been sending stuff in. It really, really helps. And I've got a new documentary coming out called In Plain Sight, which ironically, once this series ends, is going to be ready and is going to carry us all as a united community into a new realm that my community is also waiting on for this new documentary. So it's all going to kind of taper in nicely. And yeah, then hopefully at Christmas time, you're going to get the first documentary I've ever done off of my own wild, mad idea. So this is me gathering up evidence and then presenting a theory of mine. And it's exactly what we've talked about, which is the boats that go out to sea. You know, they leave Amsterdam with 4 kids and they don't come back with any kids. And we need to talk about it. So I've got some wild theories on that. So that's coming. Oh, big shout out to the Ouija brothers. Listen, how many people? 600 people here, right? If you're into paranormal content, those are my friends there, the Ouija brothers. Go and give them a lot of love. They're good guys. So good to see you guys. Thank you to all my mods as well for this evening. I know it's been a spicy one, so you've all done a really good job. But yeah, I think.
So you want me to give you one more question?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so Dre Day has asked, how do you trust in a justice system controlled by politicians that manipulate it because they are directly involved? Well, that's what we've seen with Epstein, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the beauty of the modern world is we now have this beautiful army of internet power mums and independent researchers. And when something comes out, and you know, when I say this, even as I'm saying it, what I need to say is, when the elites give up one of their own to cause a distraction, and there's a court case or someone's arrested and all the rest of it, and someone gets thrown to the lions, information spreads so much faster now. The court of the internet is a real thing, and there's a lot of pressure that gets put on even news outlets to cover stories, and stories go viral and get massive. Even some stories get picked up by just mad big YouTubers. Do you know what I'm saying? That don't have anything to do with this, and all of a sudden light is shined on it. And a prime example of that was the r/television/film debacle that happened earlier this year, and we'll be getting into that in a later episode. But that again, it's wild. It's wild. It really is.
So do you want to give your concluding remarks and credits, thank yous?
Yeah, listen, this has been a very baby steps introduction to everything that we do. I'm going to give you guys an outro that none of you are going to forget. And I'm not going to play all of this, all right? Because it's really upsetting. And I'm going to play... Oh, no, we need to look at the pedo map. Hang on a second. So we started this map when... Oh, okay. So we've been live for a couple hours. Here is what the pedo map looks like now. So we have Germany. We have 268 hits. All around America, 176 hits. Just in this section here, New York, Washington area. You can see the data. It's wild. China, 141. You know, it's crazy, and it's an interesting thing if you're doing live streams on this topic, just to show lapse of time and what is happening on the deep web with unsecure networks. And it's everywhere. Nowhere is safe. You know, it's crazy. So the last thing that I think I'm going to show you guys, like I say, is this very much half of an interview. And this sort of touches on the mindset of what I consider the darkest part of all this, which is the Hurtcore fan. I'm going to cut this off about a minute into this, but have a listen to the mindset of a female Hurtcore advocate. Have a listen.
I find it really difficult to compute, and during the production of this entire documentary, it's taken 11 months to get to where we are now, and it's been a difficult road putting this together and having to listen and read back some of these descriptions has been one of the most testing things I've done since I began producing documentaries and content like this. Next, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into the mindset of the Hurtcore fans with some responses I got to a post on Evil BB, one from Des and one from Jane, who is a female Hurtcore fan. And I think it's important that we get a male and female perspective, we hear their backgrounds, what drew them in, and as a child, was there any signs that they were gravitating towards such extreme content and a way of life? Have a listen.
I saw your posting on Evil BB. By the time I tried to PM you, the whole site disappeared. I am intrigued by your project. After a bit of background research on your channel, I'd like to share my experiences with you as a female Hurtcore enthusiast. Growing up an only child, I had limited opportunities to play with other children. Frequently, I would resort to a bit of rough play and developed a reputation as a pincher. Around the age of 7, I pinched wherever I could. Butt, arms, thighs, even face. I get a rush out of it, and only a handful of times was I reprimanded for my behavior.
You can kind of feel the sinister tone.
On my 8th birthday, I received a brown and white puppy.
I'm just going to let you hear about the puppy.
He adored me until I started to pinch him too. Then he yelped and ran away from me, which infuriated me. I boxed him in and lifted him up, squeezing his throat. The choke sounds.
So you get the idea. This woman gives us a journey into her childhood, what set her down a path from a very young age into a world of hurting other children and her pets. This is where we will end up at the end of this series, because understanding the journey from the child lover to the Hurtcore and all that lies in between is the reality of this situation. And I've lost Sean again.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
All right, I'll just say my goodbyes then before I hand it back to you.
No problems, mate.
So, huge thank you to everybody who has come onto this live stream tonight. I see that Ron's subs have jumped up at least 100.
Oh,
so
nice.
if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. The more subscribers, we get, the more we can do, the more we can accomplish.
Yeah, and don't underestimate the power of leaving a like, please. Leaving likes is massive for content like ours. It helps it's an algorithmic statistic. It really helps. Sorry to cut you off, mate. Sorry.
It's all right. And people who didn't hear me, what I said earlier about my channel, I have been banned from doing live streams for 1 week. So perhaps we could do part 2 of this next weekend, maybe Saturday or Sunday evening. Would either of those work for you?
Mate, I am here to deliver this, no problem, anytime. I'm 100% ready to go. I'm just like I say.
So let us know in the the comments what you thought about this one tonight, and hopefully we can get part 2 out to you either on Saturday or Sunday evening. And what this means is this ban, I won't be able to post any new videos this week. I have got videos scheduled. I've got 2 morning videos scheduled next 2 mornings. I've got the True Crime podcast scheduled for all this coming week, so it won't affect that. And I've also got a prison video coming out each afternoon as well. And I know people really tune in for those morning videos. A lot of it, the latest Epstein, Maxwell news. So I do apologize. I'm unable to produce those and post those this week and keep it all as it's happening. But as soon as this 1 week ban is over, I will get right back to business.
Yes.
So huge thank you to everyone for watching this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, your love and support, and I'll let Ron say the final goodbyes.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that has been here, shown support. And like I say, even though Sean is a grey box right now, I appreciate all the support that's come from his community. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, the mods, the channel members, the Atwood community, the SL fam, all of you guys. Thank you very much for being so receptive to this dark stuff. And again, I'm just learning how to present it better right now. So let me know how you feel that went and all the rest of it. So thank you to Sean. Thank you all of you. We'll see you all in the next one. And please make sure you subscribe to Sean's channel. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel. And we'll be having another live stream this evening, probably on Twitch. The link is down below. Thank you all. You're all amazing. And from me and Sean, we'll see you. Well, from me and Grey Box disguised as Sean. I'm pretty sure what's happened is Homeland Security has now taken Sean away. And this is an algorithm that sounds like Sean that's being played. All right. Okay. So before that shit becomes real, let's just go. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much to Sean. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Cheers. Take care.
All right, we're clear.